Get ready!
That's right, get ready for a trip through Yharnam and beyond. In this comprehensive Bloodborne guide, I would like to show you all the important item and gesture locations, as well as give you some strategies and those useful, tricks of the trade. I'd also like to explain the different ways you can go about finding and handling the many NPCs you meet throughout, explaining their various outcomes without spoiling, because I'm no spoil hog! Whatever that is. As you are delightfully aware, Bloodborne did come out for free for PlayStation Plus subscribers last month, and there are a lot of new chumps out there who haven't even touched a Souls game before. The first Souls game I played was Demon's Souls when it came out also for free for PlayStation Plus, so I understand how overwhelming these games tend to be for beginners. I was a beginner too, so I could totally understand. As such, I will be as thorough as possible in order to teach you the ropes. I do already have a beginner's no BS guide out there if you need a summary of all the essentials in the gameplay, like with the controls. The link is in the description. In fact, everything I'll be discussing will have links to time codes and other videos of mine, so check there if you want to cut the crap and get that item you have been so looking for. So let's carry on.
Prologue.
When playing this game with a fan recently, he asked me, what's the objective of this game? That's a very difficult question to answer. Well, he knew that he had to hunt beasts, but, what are you supposed to do? The very first thing that came to my mind was the very first memo you find in the game. Seek Pale Blood. Nobody knows really for sure what the hell Pale Blood is. We have our theories, and I think I have a pretty solid one, but regardless, that is your objective. To seek Pale Blood. Bloodborne is just as vague when it comes to teaching you the gameplay. It doesn't hold your hand in any regard. If you didn't load up this game already expecting you were going to die, then I am sorry. You've either been living a lie, or you are sorely misinformed. These games are about dying and learning through death. From Software made a game in order to troll you, to bait you into death through your own inattention. As such, it's best to remember these three things. Always examine everything. Never let your guard up, and make all the right decisions. Make no mistakes, because usually if you die, it's your own damn fault. Tiptoe everywhere and peek around corners if you have to. Crank that camera to find assholes waiting to ambush you. Get a good grasp of what you're heading into before you head into it.
Oh, Jesus Christ, not the flaming bomb!
You'd think Jigsaw was here because there are so many different traps and ambushes strewn all throughout the map, and because of the difficult nature of Bloodborne, not taking the right precautions could wind up being your life. So, I recommend you stop at and read all messages that you see on the ground. Just stop and read them all. But keep in mind, there is always that rare chance someone could be baiting you into your death. Don't always trust that message that says treasure ahead. It's not always treasure, but sometimes it's death. Bloodborne fans love to troll just as hard as the developers do. If one message sounds like a prank, then it probably is. You may want to trust the message next to it, or the other message. Or not trust any of them. You'll also see blood pools and tombstones. You can check these to determine where one has died and gather how they died. You may also notice white specters running around your game.
Who are these ghouls?
These are apparitions of other players playing in real time. It's giving you a sense of an interconnected game world. Then, and through this, the interconnectedness, the internet. Oh my god! The internet! From defeating enemies and bosses, you gain what is called blood echoes. When you die, you lose your blood echoes, which helps you in leveling up. It's like XP, and they are also a currency in the game. But you can always go back to the spot you died and get them all back from a shiny little pool. But sometimes, an enemy will eat your blood echoes. How dare you eat my blood echoes?
Did that have your name on it?
But if you die before grabbing them, they are gone forever. Bloodborne is all about grinding for these blood echoes, as well as health and bullets from killing lots and lots of enemies and looting their corpses. What do you got on you?
I need more blood vials.
Each enemy has different drops, so it's a learn-as-you-go experience. There are many rare and common items all throughout the world. They are found in the environment and through completing certain quests for the various NPCs. Among them are crafting materials to upgrade your weapons, consumables that give you blood echoes, and others. But for this guide, I'm going to show you where the more desirable items are. The stuff that you really want to just keep in a chest or put up on a mantle for all to admire, such as new attire, weapons, gestures, and runes, among other things. I'll also explain what some of these more convoluted items do and how they are used in order to smoothly integrate you into one of the best games ever made! Yeah!
Chapter 1.
If you're completely new to Bloodborne, your best bet is to start with the Lone Survivor class. Focus on Vitality and Endurance as they determine your maximum health and stamina, respectively. I recommend saving Blood Tinge and Arcane for later playthroughs, after getting a good grasp of what they really do through the course of your first playthrough. Focus on the strength or skill stats, and upgrade them based on your weapon's requirements to make your attack stronger. Once you've made your character look exactly like Eustace from Courage,
That's it. I'm getting me mallet.
you'll begin the game. Through the doors and down the stairs awaits a difficult enemy that is even more difficult without a weapon. Oh my god! Of course, it's completely possible to kill it while unarmed, but you can also run by it. However you decide to do it is up to you. I challenge you to take it out with your fists. If you can do that, you can do anything Bloodborne. If you die here, you'll be transported to the Hunter's Dream. After the blurry cutscene, you'll find your starting weapons on the ground. You can choose a switch weapon for your right hand and a firearm for your left hand. You have the choice of the Saw Cleaver, Hunter Axe, or the Threaded Cane. The latter is one of the weakest weapons to start with, as it's just a stick that transforms into a whip, while the axe is the strongest, with a spiral attack that can knock down and obliterate any enemy. The Cleaver is, so-so. I'll take it. I think it's good to note that by holding R2 on any weapon, you do a charged attack. When this lands against an enemy's backside, it'll stun them, giving you just enough time to perform a Mortal Kombat fatality by hitting R1. On the other hand, literally, what ranged weapon you choose really doesn't matter. You have the pistol and the blunderbuss to choose from. Firearms are used mostly for visceral attacks. What you can do is shoot an enemy right before it attacks to interrupt its animation, leaving them vulnerable for a counter-attack. Then you run up and hit R1 to rip its guts out. As a beginner, this is primarily what you'll be using the gun for. As such, it makes sense to have a fast firing rate with good accuracy. And that weapon is the pistol. The blunderbuss is more like a shotgun. Your best bet is to stick with the pistol until you're ready to try new character builds on separate playthroughs. Up the steps further, you'll find the notebook, which will allow you to write messages of your own to other players. It's good to write messages, especially funny ones, for a positive rating, as it will give you a health boost. Reeks of Elderly will save you from destruction. The workshop's doors are closed at first, but open up later, after obtaining your weapons and returning. The doll that is used for leveling up doesn't awaken until you've gained at least one insight. More on that in the next chapter of this guide. Return back to the first floor sick room location. From here, you can head back to where you started the game in order to talk to Yosefka. She will give you Yosefka's blood vial, which is a one-time use, stronger healing item than your standard blood vial. Keep this NPC in mind, as you will return to her later in this guide, and that's when I'll explain more. Oh boy, we have gotten very off track here. Back at the beginning, the werebeast should still be in the same location if you haven't killed it. If you have, then good for you. You probably don't even need this guide. You're just watching because you love me. In case you didn't know, this is where you have to go to get to the second lamp. And it's the last lamp you'll see for a while. If you're unsure of what lamps are, they act as checkpoints. So when you die, you'll be taken back to the last lamp you lit or teleported in with. The best trick to this game is finding the many different shortcuts in order to minimize the grind, expediting your way back to your original path when you die. For instance, there's a shortcut right there on the left, but you need to open it from the other side. To the right, at the window, is an NPC. NPCs are very interesting and will reward you with time. It's good to talk to and exhaust all dialogue with every NPC you encounter. In this case, it's Gilbert, who is obviously sick. You may want to return here later for a new weapon. I'll go over that later. At this point, there's really no reason to return to the Hunter's Dream through the lamp until you've gotten more blood echoes and at least one insight. But for the sake of this guide, I'll take you on a tour through the Hunter's Dream in this next chapter.
Chapter 2.
Okay, welcome. Here's a little tour through the Hunter's Dream. First of all, the Hunter's Dream serves as a nexus, connecting all the locations in Bloodborne. It is also where you store stuff, upgrade, enhance and repair your weapons, level up, equip runes and oaths, buy stuff, and dress your messengers up in funny hats. The Hunter's Dream is where you go in order to prepare for the next area you plan to explore or the boss you plan to obliterate. It's your safe haven. Stopping here at the Hunter's Dream isn't completely necessary until you've collected at least one insight, because the doll, which is used for leveling up, doesn't awaken until then. The large messenger bath acts as a shop where you spend blood echoes. They are obtained by killing enemies and crushing the cold blood items you don't yet have. At the moment, you really can't afford to buy anything, but the doors to the workshop should be open if you visited previously. You can head inside and talk to Gehrman, but unlike other NPCs, talking to him doesn't progress any storyline or lead to any cool items or rewards. He's simply there to give you short objectives, an idea of where to go or what to do next. In this case, he tells you to get nasty with the doll. Just outside, you'll find a second, smaller messenger bath, which requires you to spend insight. Using insight, you can get various items you can't find anywhere else, as well as materials. Insight is great to have for multiplayer purposes, as you need an insight to call for help from a cooperator, online or otherwise. You gain insight for discovering new areas and new bosses, as well as from defeating them. There's also items like Madman's Knowledge that gives you insight. In fact, there's 2 of these items in Central Yharnam, the next area. Here is the storage box, which is pretty self-explanatory. Blood vials or bullets are sent here when you reach maximum capacity in your inventory, and they automatically restock when you teleport or die. Over here you can repair your weapon at the workbench, and it's recommended you do so every time you return. You can also upgrade your weapon and equip blood gems once you pick up the tool to do so after the second boss in this guide. Blood gems are randomized drops found throughout the game, and they work to enhance you or your weapon. You cannot use the memory altar until after beating Hemwick Charnel Lane, to be exact, so don't worry about it. With it, you can equip 3 runes and 1 oath, but you won't be getting any of these for a while. These are like little perks that enhance your stats. This tombstone teleports you into the DLC after you found the initial entrance point. You don't want to worry about this until you're at the end of the game anyway, as the DLC is pretty difficult. And that's assuming you have the DLC, you have to spend extra money for it. This line of tombstones on the right allow you to create chalice dungeons to explore, which are procedurally generated tombs with unique items, enemies, and bosses. You cannot access these until after beating Old Yharnam, which will be covered in my next video, but I don't recommend wasting your time with the chalice dungeons until after beating the game, on New Game Plus. But it is up to you what you want to do. Tucked away and hidden in the back of the workshop is the messenger stump. You don't even really need to know about this. This is on the bottom of the need to know list here. What you do with it is you manage the attire of the little things that show up with your messages. The messengers, okay? This is a thing. It does create a little unique flair to your messages, so why not? Why not? And lastly, you should at least know by now that this row of tombstones all lead you back to various lamps in the main game. And it's chronological from the right to the left. Check the first tombstone and head back to Central Yharnam, the second lamp.
You win!
Alright, that's all for now, and boy was that a lot of work. Tune in next time for the next part of this No BS guide, which will completely cover Central Yharnam. It'll be more focused, more direct, and straight to the point. This video wasn't possible without these patrons who contribute their hard-earned money to me on Patreon.
Legendary champions: Haley Lamb, Rain, Wow, Heroic champions: Tyler Hunter, DSXD, great stuff! Elite champions: Pjotr S. Tarson, Miami Ink Vampire. You did it!
Hey, watch the next episode of this No BS guide when it becomes available. I also invite you to go ahead and check out the Beginner's Bloodborne guide, which I made a couple years before this. So check that out for all the tips and tricks and things that you need to know. Or just watch it, because, it's entertaining.